I enjoyed this more than I thought, like creating this, because this is an ads training, but it's not, you know? So ads, such a contentious subject. So this is unusual, as I'm going to show you both sides of the coin. And I think it's important to understand, like, I don't have a dog in this fight because I don't run ads on, I don't sell services to run ads on Facebook or, sell YouTube things. So people have to say that that's the best thing because you sell that thing. And I just like things that work. And ads are super powerful, but it's powerful both positively and negatively. And the primary reason for that is because ads are very much real time. And the investment mindset in business is a very difficult one for people to inhabit. And in real time, when you are investing in something in real time and you are looking for a return on that in real time, it can be a massive mental and energetic suck before it's a financial one. And ads are not a magical panacea of growth, yet paradoxically they can be. So the most important thing is the offer, aligning a strong offer, a hungry market, and good ads is like rocket fuel to a business. And they can also be a huge distraction and resource eater. So a good part of my current audience was built using what I'm going to show you. And, they are super powerful because the black magic ability to turn a stranger into a super fan, quickly sometimes as well, is available with the right ads. So getting them to work is four things. Again, like offer is everything, and I talk a lot about us working back towards the market from things that are proven, things that are converting. So by the time you get to ads, you have the highest chance of succeeding. And the perfect targeting and the perfect offer will not outperform a perfect copy, will not outperform a poor offer. And if the market doesn't want it, won't pay for it, or are confused, it will just tank everything. And the offer aligns with the journey you take the prospect on. And in the attraction and the, getting someone who's a stranger to take action, the ad is the first step for many people. And the second piece is, like, without context, ads don't exist. So content is there to create context. And if you aren't creating content, that the market resonates with. If you don't know what people respond to, if you don't know what words to use, what language to use, what their pains, what their problems, what their desires, what their hopes are, and you're not able to articulate those, then it's very difficult to just magically stand up ads and copy and content in ads that just works. It's almost impossible because the learning time and the testing time is just extended out to the point where most people don't make it. So, I say a lot that great ads are just great content. And if you've got great content, and great offers, you can run great ads. The other piece is like that, getting your head in the market, interruption and polarity. People don't wake up in the morning and say, I need a coach, or I need a consultant, or I need to solve this thing, and jump on Facebook or start scrolling Instagram to do that. The context just doesn't work like that. Google is slightly different in terms of people with high intent seeking certain pieces, but running ads that look like advertising in social is just difficult and clunky because it's not what people are there for, and it induces fatigue very quickly. It's just easy to skip over and easy to ignore. So using content that draws people in is what induces the insight and actually gets people to act. And then the final piece is like story sells. And the social media world, that we inhabit, where everybody is in the publishing game, is driven by stories, narratives, storylines, and themes. And stories drive these things, both the and the insightful. So one story arc can change the game for you when creating ads. And I've got a couple here to share, but both in terms of response, but also building the know, like, and trust factor. And that's the key factor with the ads that actually last, because running ads is getting easier technically in terms of being able to, run lots of different creatives, and that's a requirement to pump things out on a regular basis. But getting one thing to perform over the long term is becoming extremely difficult. And the key to do that, can be one story. So having one or two stories that, stand the test of time in terms of an ad and a hook and a copy and a frame can mean that you're not on that, constant production hamster wheel forever and ever. So that's the kind of frame in terms of getting into ads and content and those pieces. The second piece, the hidden piece, if you like, is the mathematics. And before you start, you should decide what you're prepared to pay for a lead. And initially it's guesswork and rule of thumb, but you have to kind of choose a number or get given some perspective and insight, which I'm happy to give you on, what is good at the beginning and how that relatively transfers in those pieces. Like, I drum home that a customer offer is there to get a client, an ad is there to get a customer who we turn into a client. That's its primary purpose. And that fractal there, that number, is just relative to everything else. So, and it's relative to the market, fitness offers and, general market B2C kind of offers, you can get $1 leads or less. I've seen 10-cent leads, in certain categories and markets, but the client value is lower than a B2B offer that can support $50 leads. So that is just one isolated piece that often people get hung up on. They're going, well, cheap leads equal good. Well, cheap leads are relative to the market they serve and the total economics available from that particular customer in that particular market, often that particular time. And I've seen campaigns that don't work with 50-cent leads, and I've seen campaigns that do work with $80 leads. So it's all relative to what happens afterwards and what economics are actually built in. So as you run ads, you must track the cost per lead, the cost per qualified lead, and the definition of that is someone who qualifies as a prospect that you can or have made an offer to, and a cost per sale. So you must also track the time delay from someone becoming a lead to becoming a client. So without the data, you'll be completely subject to opinion and emotion. And what I mean by the time delay is, what's the average time that it takes someone to actually opt into something, act on it, and for you to get money back after the money that you've put out? And once you've got ads running and a framework for creating and the right offer economics, scaling ad spend is just pure mathematics. And just an opinion piece here, I do not believe the average person who spends in less than 10 grand a month on paid traffic, and I've been conservative on that, needs specialist media buying or agencies to run their ads. For 99% of people, it's a DIY exercise. There are exceptions to that, but in general, the economics of paying someone, especially an expensive someone, to run ads at different spend levels doesn't make sense for most people. Do you want to ask the question, Conrad?
Yeah, just quickly, I'm just intrigued by that cost per sale, and I guess to make it quick, I'll try and work backwards, right? So say we know we're getting 200 leads every fortnight,
yeah,
and we maybe are converting, say, 5 people a week, right? Is it as simple as taking that number 5 and dividing it by the total ad spend of that period?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an imperfect equation because there are all the other relative factors about how they discovered you, and some of the tools try and give you some of that information.
Yeah.
But the easiest one is money in, money out.
Great, thank you.
So the transformation formula, this is the core formula that sells change. And if we zoom all the way out to us, the market, what we do, how we do it, and the consistent pieces change. You know, we all help people change. We're all in the business of change, whether it's a better body, better business, or better person, better being, and various, you know, individual factors of that. It's about change. And so if we have a common theme of change in terms of the thing that we actually do and implement with people over, you know, short or long periods of time, then taking a reader, you know, and an observer, or, you know, someone that's never met you before through the process of change is where you want to finish. So it's where you start. So there's 3 processes to change that that allow people to relatively place it, you know, in context. And, you know, the thing that places things in context the most is telling a story. So there's the origin of it, you know, that's the frustrating state where you or your clients found yourselves or themselves in. And it demonstrates empathy, that you've been there and understand their current situation. Empathy is one of the, you know, key demonstrations of effective marketing or effective attraction, which is, I understand where you are and how you're feeling. And if I can articulate that almost better than you, then you are very likely to trust me. Secondly, there's the, you know, the new situation. And that's the state after the transformation was applied. But the important piece there is not just the result of what people get, but how the result found. How did the better business, how did the better body, how did the better being feel? Both what showed up in terms of tangible pieces, but also how did it feel when they were coming through after the transformation was performed. And then the insights, you know, my favorite word in the world. Insights are how the transformation was applied. So demonstrating you understand the steps and that they can be replicated is the first step of establishing you not someone who just understands where people are and understands that how you can get a result for yourself or one person. It's demonstrating that you actually know the steps, and those steps are repeatable to get the result for somebody else. And that's the, you know, the step from I can get the result for myself to I can get the result for other people, which in the business of change is what everyone's being paid for. So I'm going to give you 5 templates. You have a license to swipe, modify, and change these. A couple of people are already using them. And these are long-term bangers that you can just take to the bank every single time and replicate. And so the first one is disruption. Disruption is, you know, an interruption of the current state. And it's just an angle, really. So my disruption, you know, angle, I've had various angles, but this was the OG one, was when I lived on Waiheke Island, which is in New Zealand, as that image that I used on the ad demonstrated, how Waiheke Hippie is disrupting the billion-dollar services industry. And the format of this is this is the big transformation formula. So the breakdown is, it has an origin story. It has a new and improved situation. I tell them why I'm telling them that. I tell them the insights of the transformations, and then I tell them why it's important, and then I ask them to do something. So I go into the origin story. I tell the story that was relevant to there. You know, Bunnings, something people in Australasia can identify who I was marketing to at the time. You know, and when I tried, I listened to all the advice. All I ended up with was a confusing spaghetti of different clients and a laundry list of services, a state that a lot of people in this market find themselves in. So then I go immediately to the new state. I initiated a change. See how short that, you know, relative origin story was, where I jump in and say, this is the origin, and this is the next bit. And today I live on the beach in Waiheke Island, don't work a full day, and wake up every morning with a calendar full of clients keen to work with me, all because of this. So I'm establishing empathy and authority very, very early in someone's reading journey. You know, someone's gone through that, been interrupted by the headline, if you look at the context of how someone consume it, interrupted by the headline, and then gone, oh, this person has something that I might want. And then I go into why I'm telling them that. I don't tell you this to boast. I want to show you there's a better way to deploy your talents, deliver more value to your clients, and stop trading. How was I able to do this? And then I go into the 3 steps or the insights that I can give people. So we want someone to take something away from it, even if they don't buy, or even if they don't click or opt in. And it's just the same as what we were talking about in the week about coaching people to the decision. Coaching people to know in the sales process is a worthy use of the time and position and the frame. But it's also that shows up here because you're coaching people that you have the insight. And building goodwill and building traction and building the traffic means that you actually build goodwill. You get comments, you get shares, you get activity on this ad, which makes it go further than just the money that you feed into it himself. So you have to have a good story, and you have to have a good, insight that you generate that someone can actually get value from it and take away something. 129 shares is not insignificant. Making these ads go a lot further is the way to make them last a lot longer, but it's also the way to optimize the actual results. And then why it's important now. The world is changing, the new breed. If you don't change your ways, this will happen. And then a call to action. So I put together a free training that shows you the exact systems. So it stacks on itself to say, this is where I was, this is the transformation, these are the steps I took, and I'm here to help you as well. And it gets that congruent insight. So this is the kind of piece of content, if you like, that can be mastered and tested outside of an ad environment. You can write this and create this in an organic environment to test the response of it before you run ads to it. And that's smart. That's the smart way to do it, right? Testing the response rate of these things before they get to, I'm going to spend a lot of money on it, enables the money that you do spend on it to give you the highest potential of return. So that kind of transformation template is useful to be tested prior and pushed out to see the level of response rate that you actually get for it. The second one is free, the best word in the world. If you start with and lead with ideas around free as that single concept, then you tend to get a good response rate. But again, you have to prove it. So this GDoc generated 802 in sales without a call. Again, the origin story. What was the origin? What was the transformation? Why am I showing you this? This is what happened, the origin. This is what was on the other side of it. These are the insights. The principle based off something I call the offer diamond. So if you like, tease what is going to be inside it. I'm going to give you some insights here, but it's easier to show, demonstrate, and see how imperfect grammar and spelling can be in ads as well. Show, demonstrate is not even grammatically correct. With an example that try to talk about highfalutin principles here. There's two grammatical and one spelling mistake in a made up word in one sentence. So it just shows that nothing really matters. Click to the other side and I'll give this template for free and a 6-minute demo walking through how the different components work. So origin, transformation, insights. And these ads are really easy to write because they have components for the thing that's on the other side. So you just take components of the thing that's on the other side, the lead magnet or whatever the piece is, and get it to the other side. Proof. Again, same story, but we're doing it from a third-party piece. So prove that you can help someone by demonstrating how you help someone. And this goes, again, beyond testimonials to deliver insight on how someone you worked with get a result. It follows the same format. So what is the origin story? What is the results on the other side of the transformation? What are the insights to get there? And these are the, super scalable kind of pieces, because when you're getting results for people, you could churn out one of these a week, or one of these every fortnight. And once you got on the response train of this is the tool that this person used to get that, and you got an opt-in for that, or you got a purchase for that, then it's very, very easy to churn them out in that format and repeatable. I can whip up one of these in 10 minutes now, because I'm saying, where were they? What is the transformation they got? What are the insights they got? And when you're scaling, past certain budgets, kind of $500 a day plus, you need a decent train of new creative, pumping it out. You might do one of these a month where you just keep feeding that machine that's getting the opt-ins and pumping them out. But same format, origin, transformation, insight. You're just giving it from a third party and not telling the story of yourself, which is going to be essential for, a lot of people. The book, and this is I thought I'd throw this an example of something where it isn't a lead magnet and you want someone to buy something, but it's a tangible asset. So when you're selling, when you're offering a lead magnet like you are in the daily client machine, you're just kind of selling the idea and the tool fulfills on the idea, like the previous two, which is download this thing, watch this video, get this lead magnet. And that's pretty typical. If you have a book or an asset or a low ticket product on the top, then you have something that is, you have to pre-sell the actual asset, and you have to pre-sell an asset that people want. So again, who it's for, running a whole load of headlines. So when you're having a product, when you're selling a product, you want to have the highest level of exclusion that you possibly can, because you don't want stray clicks going to the product page to lower your conversion rate. So you really need to be more targeted and more specific in the copy. And the copy, I'll cover this soon, but the copy is where all the targeting happens. You can select audiences and demographics and interests and all those things, but the copy is where the starting happens. So if you look at the majority of headlines that ran on that ad, the three of them specifically call out consultants, consulting, etc. The other two are, more open and maybe things that people recognize. What got you to 6 won't get you to 7. How I got off the consulting hamster wheel. Actually, 4 of them mention consulting. And these ones are a condensed format, if you like, of the same thing. I was doing this. I changed to this. I've written a book about it. You should go and check it out. And new book, a step-by-step guide, and it kind of does what it says on the tin. So they're much more direct. And product, when you're selling low-ticket product ads, that I've found that you pumping out a large number of a smaller origin transformation insight necessarily allows you to find the one with the big story. And the disruption ad ran to that book as well, so that I used the same format and the same template and the same copy to run to that book to convert it, but exactly the same kind of format, they're just more short and abbreviated. The transformations. Transformation is a stretched out piece of disruption. So this is a lot more story that you're taking people through, where you're actually stretching out the story and then giving the insights and then landing them on the thing that has it. But again, the same theme: origin, transformations, insights, and then the call to action, if you like, is just an afterthought. You can have the click and the link there. But these ads are very much designed to get people to read the copy. And so you actually have a qualified click rather than just any old click. So there's some templates that we can use. We can jam on them afterwards if we need to. This is the crucial piece, because the ad is just a component of a funnel. And the funnel relies on someone making the next steps at all points. Whether you're running massive, complicated multi-step funnels, or you're running short, individual daily client machine funnels, which are 3 steps. Ads fail when someone clicks, takes an action, and the next step doesn't resemble the last message. And when I'm like auditing things, or people say, oh, this doesn't work, or this isn't working, this is usually it. Because in isolation, I will click on something and I'll get to a page and I'm like, what the fuck did that have to do with the last thing? Right? So there needs to be some congruence all the way through at the most simple levels. And if you don't do that, the flow just stops. You can get the click and not the lead. And you're like, what the heck is going on? And people are clicking on it, but they're not doing it because the ad and the landing page had like, they weren't linked to each other. And they just should link to each other. And lots of people get the link, get the lead, but not the sale. They're like, I'm getting all these leads, but no one's doing anything. And that's because often you agitated some kind of pain or problem early on, and people are like, yeah, and they lean in, and then it disappears. And then the messaging kind of changes because there's no consistent theme that flows through in that actual congruence. And this is how, the main reason the data client machine works is it's short. So there's less steps to go through. And those steps are, very much focused on getting someone to do the next thing, getting someone to opt in, getting the lead, turning them into a customer, and then turning into a client. The second piece is just lining those things up. So step one, if I take the current ad campaign that I'm running, the GDoc that generated 802,000 in sales without a call, you don't need to see much else on that or pay attention to it as you go through to kind of go, oh, this is interesting. I need to see that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to act on it. So the landing page says, get the exact GDoc template that sold 802,000 of consulting without a sales call, right? So condensing that thing, if that's the only thing that someone read, which it may well be on an ad, if they click quickly, in a couple of seconds and they haven't read the rest of the copy, they're going to see the thing that they saw. So often the headline of the landing page is very close or a very close cousin of the headline and the main point of the ad, the main hook. So when you do that, that's how you get landing pages converting at 40 or 50%. Because if someone just reads and their attention span is that small and they just read that and they click on that, it's going to be congruent. If someone reads the whole story and clicks on that, it's going to be congruent and they're going to take the action. Step 3 is the demo of that thing. How I used one Google Doc to sell 802 worth of single consulting without a sales call. So it's all consistent on the way through. So they're being, remember the context as well of these things. This person woke up at 6:05. They were like, I'd love to look at some cat pictures and boobs on the internet. And 2 minutes later, they're clicking on something about selling GDocs without a sales call. Their brain has just been diverted into this place because they went for a social experience and now they're in a learning or an insight or a I need something experience. So we've diverted their attention away from something else, and that precious attention needs to be channeled and funneled as much as we possibly can so we can actually keep it and hold it so we can actually get them to take actions. Because we've got them to take the first action. They've clicked on it. And without this, you'll just see leads come in and no one doing anything. Or you'll see ads go out there and you go, this is good, but no one's doing anything. No one's clicking on it and no one's doing it. So working forwards from the ad is the step after working backwards from the offer to the ad. And if those things line up both ways, then you're going to have something that both performs on the economics because you've got a great offer on the end of it or in the middle of it, and then also performs in terms of the interaction. I'll go back to that point many times because that's where good ads fail by a good ad, but not feeding into a good funnel. So there are no magic targeting options that find buyers. There isn't a button inside Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube that says, send this to people who are going to give me money in the next 24 hours. We all wish there was. But lots of people look for it. And that's what I say the negative and the downside of ads is that someone's been told that there's some magic targeting piece. The targeting and the attraction in these pieces comes from copy. And the targeting is just a way to give the algorithm the copy and the angles and the hooks and the story and the transformation that we want to do. And then it goes and finds those people. Nowadays, use large audiences and let the algorithm find the right leads. Get a good ad and match it with a large audience. To narrow it down, if you're looking at the whole of Australia, for example, 20 plus million people, 18 million or whatever it is that Facebook will let you market to. Use interests that are linked to buying behavior rather than general interests. So I've always found that software, personalities, and these things perform better and faster than the general interest kind of job titles and I'm interested in this and I'm interested in that. So on that one there, that was just a snapshot of like, I don't know how long, maybe a week or two, on this is the targeting for that particular ad. That ad account is still in, I don't know what currency, it might be AUD. But that's generating like $3.86 leads, and a 4% conversion into a customer offer. So it's performing well. And it's targeted to Western countries, the main kind of Western countries, New Zealand, Australia, US, Canada, and the UK. It's targeted to people who are between 25 and 50, all genders. And then I just go through and tick, what are things that people actually follow? And the fuzzy logic on that one is that if people are following software and those pieces, they've probably got some propensity to follow along and buy. People who buy software tend to be more invested in marketplaces because they've made an investment of time or a long-term investment in that. So software, guru interests, specific buying signal behavior are things that are more as interesting. The other one that works well in terms of targeting is often industry vertical publications. So media outlets or media that's related to an industry vertical that has a Facebook page or has an Instagram profile or another targeting option that people follow along. So, if you're targeting people who are into horses, then Horse Traders Monthly, has a Facebook page, and that's usually an interest that you can target as well. So I do not spend, and you'll hear me kind of get pissed off about this because people look for the magic piece in this targeting. They're like, oh, if I just find this perfect interest, there isn't any. Get the right origin and transformation story and then put it into those audiences and let it fly with money, and the algorithm will find it. Same philosophy with that. Good content is good content. Good ads are good ads. You get an ad working on one channel and test it on another. Every single ad that I've got working on, my origin point is Facebook, I've got working on Instagram. If I've got that working on Instagram, I've got it working on LinkedIn, right? The next step could be converting it into a medium that may work better on the respective platform. So for example, if you've got a great ad on LinkedIn and that's got good copy in it and it's converting, you could record that as a video into a platform like YouTube or Instagram and then run exactly the same hook and exactly the same piece. And you can even use it as a script. I turned the disruption ad and my older glass ceiling ad, once they'd run and I was converting with text-based, image-based ads, I just ran it as a script and recorded the video so people could see me actually walking through it. So the base of the ad can form a script, but the base of the ad can also form something that goes into another channel. There's the book. Took it from Facebook, put it on LinkedIn, exactly the same thing. So I want to dispel the myths around targeting, that there's some magic, targeting that takes place inside, ad accounts and ad platforms, that still it's around offer a message. And also dispel the myth that, there's some magic in each particular platform, because there's a lot of people out there who are going to tell you that the thing that they sell is the best thing in the world. The YouTube ads people will tell you that YouTube is the best thing in the world. but they have an incentive to do that. So if you focus on the 90%, which is the content, the copy, the hook, the angle, then you will have an ad advantage over everybody. Conrad.
Hey James, quick question with the targeting thing. I've heard a couple of people talking about, like, obviously we've got all of this data in GHL or whatever program you're using, all of these people that have bought from us over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Is there any power in collating that and creating audiences for ads, or is that a myth?
There definitely is. Yeah, lookalikes and those things are definitely, once you've got a decent amount of data, then putting those into Ads Manager and then creating lookalikes from it is always worth it.
Okay.
The interesting thing for me is, like, that used to be the thing that you wanted to do as quickly as possible after you'd run out of interests.
Yeah.
The interesting thing for me over the years, and it probably makes sense in terms of the data they have on people, the different performance between 5 million people who are based on interests and interacting with the ad,
yep,
and 5 million people who are created from a lookalike is very, very small.
Okay.
So it's another way that you should, find people in that. But we often find the algorithm is so scarily good now that the crossover between those audiences is massively high. So you run this lookalike audience and goes, it's going to find all these perfect customers. And it found 97% of the people who are in your interest audience.
It's funny, like, I've got a client who signed on last week, and she said, as soon as I signed up with you, I started getting ads for non-alcoholic beverages, right? So it is kind of scary. I have one more quick question. Sorry to take up so much airtime. I just went blank. Can you, I'll come back to me. I lost it.
Well, there's
Sorry.
non-alcoholic beverages you're drinking. Owen.
So I'm actually in the mix of writing small ebook. So I wanted to ask, is it possible for you to share that Truth of Consulting book just to see kind of the format you took or the flow of that actual book?
For
I know it's from
what
some
purpose?
years
To read
back.
the book?
What's that?
What's the purpose?
To just see like more from like a flow standpoint of how you kind of treated that book.
Okay. Yeah, can you?
Okay, cool. That's what I was curious about because I'm literally working on that as we speak.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, and my simple frame for those kind of books is they're like the ones that do best are how-to books. So you give people all the secret sauce inside it. So if you give people the how-to, then the people who want, access and those things are the best converting out of that.
And that was
James,
lead magnet, free lead magnet.
It was a paid book.
Customer offer?
Yeah.
Okay.
$6 or whatever it was.
James, that question has popped back, and it's about interest. So my people are varied. I know what industries they're working, like in real estate, finance, mining, property, and I know what type of cars they drive. I know what type of brands they buy. I know, what their hobbies are, but it's not like they're all working in marketing. So what's your best guidance around interests?
Yeah, I'd be, who are they following?
Yeah.
In terms of like in anything to do with personal development is like, who are the gurus they're following? I go towards that, like, are they following Tony Robbins and these kind of things? Like, are they, that word change, are they kind of open to seeking change or evolution or transformation?
Great. Thank you.
Cool. Any more? The big point I hope that people got was like around the congruence of things. Lots of people are writing some great ads and have a good offer, and then they're just baffled why no one's doing anything on the other side, right? And if you look at these landing pages, if I actually share the screen again. If you look at these landing pages, I'm trying to give people the least amount of, sorry, Zoom problems. The least amount of reasons to get confused. Like, confused minds don't buy, right? They don't do the next thing. So that landing page there is the landing page. There is nothing else on it. It is a headline, a screenshot of the video, and a box and a button that says, do this. Next page is perfectly congruent, right? And a lot of times, I think where people get trapped is they try and sell the kind of the end goal, the client offer, or some of the ideas within that too early. A funnel that works always sells just the next step. Do this, do this, do this. And it just nudges them and points them in this direction. So the more you say, the more you are at risk of saying things that scare them from taking the next step, because it's like, oh no, there's too much here, I'm too confused. So funnels will always nudge people just to the next step and nothing else. And then as they go along, you find the people who want to take the next step and the next step and the next step. So most landing pages in isolation, you can look at them and go, that's great. But in context, when you look at where someone comes from and where they're going to, then that's where you can truly test the validity of how highly that's going to actually convert to take them to the next step. Does that make sense? Like, less is more with these things. It's just a nudge on a direction.
Hey, James.
Yeah.
How are you? Ads, and I've had some feedback previously about running ads to drive engagement, eyeballs on stuff. And I feel that there's low return on investment in those type of things. So, for example, if you get a great post, boost it so you get more eyeballs on your stuff. And I was just wondering, this looks like a pure funnel ad, and I think that's probably the most effective getting a return on investment, because what I'm finding is the feedback or the coaching that we've had before is get eyeballs on your stuff. More eyeballs means more leads, customers. But I find that as chasing rabbit holes, really, and going down rabbit holes. Is engagement post and engagement boosting really a waste of time unless you're really selling something at the end of it?
Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
So I'll try and give you some relative so you can place this for yourself.
Yeah.
Between direct response, which is like I'm looking for a lead, versus brand, if you like, my spend is 50-50. Right? Direct response is, okay, just nudging the leads. Brand is like, this is me, this is how I think, this is what I do, the no like and trust factor.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a magic cutoff where you can switch magically to be those things.
Mm-hmm.
But once someone has the first step is getting something that performs to get new people into an audience who are most likely to buy something. You are getting a direct ROI from advertising, which is like, I spent $1 today and I got $3 back 14 days later. you know,
Yeah.
and you know that. That's the ultimate skill in all this stuff. Once you're there and you're like, okay, I can see how to feed creative into this, how we're going to spend more money and how we're getting budget. We pay this for a lead, this to make an offer, and this for a customer. Then 80-20 is the healthiest investment kind of strategy. 80% goes into direct response, getting leads and feeding people into the funnel. 20% goes into brand, retargeting, talking to people in the middle of the funnel and building relation. Because like over the long term, brand has a hell of a lot of value in it. Like where all the value is over the longest term. But over the short term, in terms of getting a return from things that actually allows you to get to the stage where brand is the biggest ROI, you know, factor, it's getting responsive ads that actually have a measurable return in a period of time.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, most of the people who tout that you need to do reach and blah, 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 just really suck at running ads, but they like getting paid for it. So they obfuscate all the metrics. So they're like, yeah, it's not about the leads. It's about the reach and the views. And like, the problem is that's true for some people.
Yeah.
It's just really untrue for 99% of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we've got a reach and views issue. It's more about how can I measure that return? Going back to time of you get the lead, what is the time that they turn into a client? And that's the thing I don't think I can put my finger on, which that's why we've stopped pretty much all ads at the moment and really going, okay, what is going to be the best spend now? And I think going back to the basics of have a great customer offer and let's see what they turn into a customer or a client, not a customer.
Once you've got something that converts and it's converting at a percentage, then it's a time delay, which indicates what? Where you go. The 20% that you spend on brand, you shouldn't even try to measure it. It will just it'll make you go backwards.
Yeah, don't care about that. And it's about growing an email list and all that sort of stuff. But cool. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Makes sense.
A couple of you messaged me. I'll just drop the I think the thing that frustrates me the most is that people have like somehow been told that ads are magic, but all the magic is in, you know, the stories that you tell and the copy and the transformations you make. Because all the best ads and the ones that had the longest like high performance over time were based on work and actions that I'd already done and undertaken and posts that I'd already made and copy that I'd already done. And they kind of had earned their keep, and then they were like, oh, why didn't I get more eyeballs on this? Crystals are magic. Forget it. I've got the money crystal on my desk. Any more questions?
Hey, James.
Yeah.
How do you compare if you look at the recent results from your free Google Doc, how do you compare those to your like ebook funnel that you used to run straight to like a purchase? And I modeled that from a previous training you did a couple of years back, and I turned it into a video kit, which was like a super low priced purchase, which converted super well. Obviously, I didn't have the customer to client structure flowing. Yeah, but how do you compare the two, like as a preference?
Up to $100 a day, run a daily client machine lead magnet funnel into a customer offer. Over $100 a day, and when you have confidence about running ads and return on time on return, you know your numbers, then you can start to use front-end products to liquidate ad spend, like a book or a $5 or $10 piece.
Gotcha.
Like, honestly, the reason I don't and not currently like teaching it is most people aren't there, and it would just be a red herring to most people when they start to do it, because most people can't do it. Some people can. I'll do it this year where, you know, showing how to sell a book and run a proper funnel, if you like, in terms of the self-liquidating one that can scale up to $2,000 a day, and probably more if it's good in certain markets. But up to $100 lead magnet into customer offer, into your client offer is by far the most efficient, and it's the one that 99% of people can get going.
All right, cool. Cool. Thanks.
I'd also like, part of it is saving people from the stress of trying to run ad spend and budgets, because I see more people give up on the path as soon as they hit certain spends than kind of stay in the game. So it's about, finding something that converts and staying in the game, but something that you can run for the long term before evolving it. And again, like, ads are often approached as they're like, oh shit, I need clients or customers tomorrow, so I'm going to run ads. So if I spend money and I'm going to get bad, it doesn't work like that. So ads in many cases, approached from a place of already desperation, because they're like, I haven't been able to get enough money or enough sales or anything out of my audience, so I'm going to get ads and then have a quick return. And the stress and the anxiety of trying to get a quick return from ads is too much for most people to bear.
I'd much rather run ads.
George has got a much better metaphor than my ranting and raving. Can you see I'm burnt over the years of just having people go, my ads aren't working? Who's running ads right now? I think, Alan, you are. Preet and Leon. Conrad's always running ads. Georgia probably running ads for other people and not yourself. Yeah. Yeah, that very, if I was to say, how would I start again kind of piece, like to run ads tomorrow, I'd use the disruption template, and I would test that, and I'd post it on social, and I'd probably send it to my list, and I'd use the same asset, like send them to the lead magnet I've got, or whatever was on the other side of it, and then I just look at the response rate and the conversations that it started and those things. Then once people are responding to it, I'd set it up as an ad, build a super simple 2-step funnel around it, with a customer offer on the other side of it, and then I'd get every single response, every single lead who opted in, and an attempt to start a direct conversation with them. And I wouldn't automate anything past the first couple of emails. I'd lean into every single person who was responding to that, to see where they were, to see what they were doing, and I'd message every single one, or I'd try and start a conversation with every single person who showed intent to see, who are they? What are they doing? Why do they respond to it? What do they want next? Do they want help? Are they a now person, or a browser, or a later person? And are there problems that they desire to solve immediately, that I can point things to that I've got? And just like a customer offer is trying to understand intent, or a signal of intent. Is this person potentially a buyer? A lead and something coming inbound is trying to understand intent. Does this person have a problem I can solve now, and am I prepared to solve it? Because as you go along, you just get better at articulating those things on mass. All the frustrations and the things that I talked about, back in the early days of you're probably networking and you're doing this and you're relying on referrals, where they weren't actually my frustrations. They were actually frustrations that the market had given me, that I was aware of them, but they weren't really mine. They were things that I participated in, but they were actually other people's frustrations that I talked to. And once you understand those, in terms of to shape the origin story, truthfully, and then the transformation on the other side, then you've got something that people always respond to. The ad and the money that you put into it is just the fuel for the gathering of intent. Any more questions?
I missed the beginning, but I'm actually just curious how the particularly the 802K ad converted. Like, did you get syndicate people out of that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you did. That's cool.
Yeah. So with the DC with the daily client machine funnel, I'm only really engaging with people who've bought the customer offer, right?
Yeah.
So the people who've bought that on the other side of it, it's only about 4%, which is like in the realm of things pretty good, but
yeah, it is
4% of people buying off the other side of it. So it's just the follow-up sequence of the customer offer is tuned to talk to people about the syndicate, and then everybody else just goes onto the list, and they naturally filter through as well. So there's other conversions in there, but I can't directly attribute them to ads. I can with a couple of people. I think Joshua joined downloading that, didn't buy the customer offer, but then came onto the syndicate a week later.
Well, I love it because the opt-in is just an offer. You know what I mean? Like, it's so gangster. I love it so much.
Yeah, I did a little, when I was walking through the daily client machine, I did that little, fractal of like, inside the syndicate, we have the offer code as one of the components. The offer code is also a customer offer for $100. The offer code has a template inside it, which I'm going to use to get leads inside it. They're just like, the origin was just all the way back there, and then just take it all the way to the front. It's extremely meta. Let me announce it properly, Conrad, so I can just have some structure and organization rather than... I've learned not to shoot my mouth off too quickly these days.
Me and Leon are just going to come for the whole month. So whenever it is, we'll be available.
Well, unfortunately, I know where I live, so that's the few people who do. All good. I'll finish it there. I've got some other templates that I kind of left out that I'm going to drop in the training. So I got a ton of different templates and those pieces. I've given you the ones that are really evergreen, that when you lean into them, you can really use them for a long time, because I'm also super conscious with ads that it's not that difficult to create an ad that performs for a week or two. But these days, the best stuff lasts for a long time. So creating they take a little bit more work to stand up, but creating things that are story-based and narrative-based with the origin and the transformation, will actually give you the longest period of time. And also they're things that you can build on as well, because they can always be refined and improved. So I've given you the ones that have got the most longevity, and but I'll give you some other ones that get you in the market as well. Thanks, peeps. I'll see some of you in 7 hours' time if you want to jump on the syndicate call tonight.
Cheers, James. Take it easy.
Cheers.
Thanks, James.